any of these stations.
Keep looking.
Oh, you're going too slow. Let me take the wheel.
It's too fast. How could you even tell what's on?
I can tell. Too late. I'm in the 40s. Gotta go around the horn. It's faster.
Wait.
I look for the giant chicken!
Now it's...
Hello.
That's so cute.
Dr. Jennifer was like, that is funny. Yeah. And I think they called me a giant chicken too. I'm not sure.
Yes, they did. I was like, whoa.
I'm like, okay, I can handle it. I'm strong. But welcome everybody to the Power of Shut Up podcast. I didn't forget what episode we're on because we're just having such a good time. It feels like that we are just in a groove. So I'm excited about tonight. And I will say that part of it is because last week we actually kicked off some conversation about leadership. So we have a guest, Dr. Jennifer, here tonight, and we're going to stay in that lane because we had a great conversation, and I think that you all will be really blessed by the conversation. Plus, we're going to share some information about a summit that's underway. And I know that people love to talk about leadership, but before we get started, I wanted to actually do a few shout outs and then remind you of some things that I've been working on. So I first wanted to say happy birthday to anyone who's celebrating a birthday. Enjoy your special day. I also wanted to say happy anniversary to any of those who are out there celebrating love. I am one of those mushy gushy kind of people. So have a good time, celebrate love every day, but especially on your anniversary. And I also like to say congratulations to anybody who has bought a new house, started a new job, started a new career, whatever it is. Congratulations to you. Keep up the good work and show them what you're working with. That's what I say. So with that being said, I wanted to also remind you all that I have been working on a few projects that have kept me fairly busy. You all know about the TV show, Dr. Gail on Love, Sex, and Marriage. We have had a wonderful time kicking off the filming in Dallas, Texas. I think we're in Dallas, Texas. We are coming to Maryland, and we have some scheduled days in December to work with some of our other couples so that we can get this pilot out here. So we're really excited about that. So please stay tuned and follow the journey of Dr. Gail on Love, Sex, and Marriage. And to say further about Dr. Gail, she, for some of you all, you might not know that she is a strong component for building up marriages. And I met Dr. Gail a long time ago and actually started going to one of her events called Bringing the Sexy Back to the Marriage. So this January, like I've been going for the last 8 or 9 years, we're having the Battlefield for Marriage, Bringing Sexy Back to Your Marriage event. Dr. Gail brings wives together and we have wonderful conversations about how we can enhance our marriage, pour into our husbands, and we have some fun. We really have a good time. I can't tell you everything we talk about because it's strictly for the wives, okay? But I will tell you that it's a lot of fun. So if you want to kind of enhance your marriage or you want to have some fun with other wives and talk about some real true things that go on in marriage and how we can push through or just have a good time, please check it out or hit me up and I'll tell you how to register. I will be there. So hopefully I'll see you there. But without further ado, I wanted to actually talk to my guest, and I'm going to let y'all join me because we could probably have a conversation all by ourselves. But I am happy to welcome Dr. Jennifer Jones Bryant to the Power Shut Up podcast. Welcome, Dr. Jennifer.
Thank you for having me, Lisa. I'm super excited to just jump right in tonight. I'm glad to be here with you.
Absolutely. So we're going to share some things that Dr. Jennifer has been working on and what's coming up. And this will all make sense as we start to talk about this. So the first half of the show, as we've been doing with the Power Shut Up, is we're going to talk about Dr. Jennifer. You're going to hear all about her, what she does, what she has going on. And then we're going to tie in all that you've learned about Dr. Jennifer. And we're going to tie that into the Power of Shut Up. And I'm kind of thinking based on last week too, and actually every other week, that when you talk about leadership, I think that that's a direct connect to the Power Shut Up. We'll talk about it, but I think that we'll be able to connect some dots with that. So I really wanted to start off, Dr. Jennifer, by asking you about what it is that you do, because I know that this will be very helpful to a lot of people who are out there. And then we're going to start to talk about stepping into leadership greatness. But first, tell us about you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. So, more about me. I actually give voice and visibility to mid level corporate women to accelerate to the next level in their career and for them to embrace their career journey unashamed, unapologetically, and authentically. And so I do this through leadership mentorship. I do it through leadership coaching. I do this through goal setting, among other things, because I'm a huge, huge believer. If you don't get your personal leadership together, it will show up in your professional life.
So let me ask you this, because I like that you said personal leadership.
Yes.
So dive a little bit more into personal leadership, because I know exactly what you mean, and I agree with you. For those who don't understand what personal leadership is, because I think a lot of times when we have these conversations about leadership, it's outward. So, and that's easy to talk about sometimes, but I think it gets a little more difficult when we talk about personal leadership. So tell us a little bit more about that.
The reason why it gets a little more difficult, and you are so right, and it comes to you looking at yourself in the mirror. It comes to you. You're dealing with self. You're dealing with, am I self-aware?
Mhm.
How do I respond or react to different things? Where is the emotional intelligence, my emotional
Mm.
intelligence in terms of personal leadership? Am I reading the room correctly? And how do I respond to reading the room? And so a lot of times folks do not want to deal with self. It's so easy to go out there and focus on professional leadership where you are, taking care of other people.
Right.
You're coming through with your results. You're doing all of these things. You're focused on the strategy, all of these things. But then when it comes to learning about yourself, there seems to be some form of hesitancy
Right.
because there are certain aspects about ourselves that we don't like and we don't face. But that could be your stumbling block or your barrier to getting to your next level. And so that's, I work with clients to help them unlock what are your barriers, and let's work together as thought partners to get you over to the next level.
I love that how you explain that, because and I do think it's a stumbling block for people, because it can be scary, realizing something about who you are. And like you said, and oh, I don't quite like that about myself. Because first comes admitting that, this ain't too cool. And we're real easy to tell people what we don't like about them. But I rarely hear people talk about what I don't quite like about me. So when you start with self, I think that's so empowering, because I've always kind of felt like if you are self-aware, and you're aware that these are your weaknesses and these are your strengths, then it's hard for people to kind of come at you a certain way. Like they can't really shake you because you're aware. It's not new news. It's not an aha moment. I'm good with that because I actually agree with you sometimes. So I like that you said that. And then it moves to outward.
Yeah,
Um,
it absolutely. And then you said something key, Lisa, about it not only focuses just on, identify opportunity areas, but your strengths. Like, are you doing the right things and leveraging your talents and your strengths appropriately? And then making sure that you are partnering with maybe or with someone else who may have complementary skill sets. For example, those who know me and know me well, I'm not a real detailed person. I'm not. I'm
mhm.
not. Sometimes it's driven by my job, and sometimes it's driven by the project or whatever the case may be. Because my strength is I'm a total I. If you've ever done a DISC assessment, I am so an I. And an I is an influencer, an
Mhm.
I is a collaborator. And so, and the I is very people focused and relational. And so um when I'm with someone who may be a C, like
Mhm.
concise and need the analytical details and don't get me wrong, I can analyze, but
Right.
need the details, no, because I'm more big picture focused and I try
Okay.
to stay picture focused.
Ye
So it's having that balance and having the complementary skill sets working together.
Absolutely, and being able to identify, that you like I wouldn't have guessed that actually.
You
You
wouldn't have?
sharing, I would not have. But I think it's the way that you carry your strength that it feels like that you already have those details. You wouldn't know, but like you said, you know how to analyze. So a lot of times people kind of misunderstand and say just because that's not my strength doesn't mean I
I
don't know how
won't
to
do
do
it.
it. Right.
Right,
I
that's
know
what
how
I
to do
said,
it.
but am I comfortable doing it? Like, inwardly, I'm like, "Oh god."
Right.
But I know that it has to be done, and here's the
Right.
other piece about personal leadership, about knowing your strengths, is knowing that where should I spend my energy? So,
Mm.
do I hire someone to work on all those details while remaining outwardly, right? Like
Mhm.
outwardly, like if you think of an organization and you think of your head of your organization and then you think of your deputy, right? The head of the organization is typically outward facing. They are
Right.
the person that's out there shaking hands, as I like to call it, shaking hands, kissing babies. They're out there making deals. They're out there promoting the organization and what value proposition the organization offers. And then your deputy is focused on the details of the with the people and etc. So sometimes we have to think about that as we think about the different styles. Like if I go brief engineers, right? If
Mhm.
I go brief engineers, I already know I got to go in there with data, right? Just in
Right.
general, I got to go in there with data. I got to go in there with a solution oriented thought process, right? And to share the value proposition of how I'm solving the problem. I already know that. I already
Right.
know that.
Right.
If I go in with my business offices and my business operations, I got to go in there with let's talk money, right? Let's talk data, let's talk everything, all things business.
Right.
I'm going to go talk to my admin team. Oh, we rah rah rah. You
Right.
know, we having fun. We doing what we need to do. My point of going through those three different scenarios is because you have to adjust your leadership style based on your people, right? Based on your people. And you've heard me say my philosophy before, and I've had this for decades. People are at the beginning, middle, and end of every process and decisions. Once you invest in them, they
Mhm.
will go above and beyond for the mission.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, you just said a mouthful considering the conversation we had right before we came live. I won't get into it, but that's exactly what I needed to hear to remind myself. I know that's right. That's what I want to say to that. I know that's right. But this was a perfect segue into stepping into leadership greatness. And I'm gonna say you stepped into it, so we gonna do this. So I'm gonna hold up I'm gonna hold up something and then I forgot what they call that little game where you hold something up and then you actually describe what this is. So I'm
Yes,
gonna hold something up for you, Dr. Jennifer, and then I want you to just go all in and describe what this is. So
okay, go
this
for
is
it.
what I'm holding up right here.
Step into leadership greatness. Leaders
Yes,
producing leaders, volume two. Volume
volume two.
two.
But tell
That
them
was
how many volumes. I don't have all of them with me. But what
the
is
first
this
one.
thing right here?
That book is a collective of amazing industry experts from academia, federal government, state government, you name it, and coaches, leadership coaches, mental health professionals, so many industry experts who really told their stories,
Mhm.
not and from a personal leadership standpoint too, right? And that book is all about lifting while you climb,
Yes,
right? So as you rise, you're going to reach back.
that's
And
right.
Martin Luther King said life's most persistent question is, what are you doing for others?
Huh.
So you always got to reach back. And so that's what that book is about. But let's go to the cover for a quick second. I know you
Yes,
held
let
it
me
up for a
remind them
second.
real quick. Let me bring it in here a little bit.
So
Yeah.
the cover with me standing there, I tossed and turned about whether or not I wanted to put myself on the cover. I
Mm.
really, really thought about that. I was like, I don't know if I want to go on the cover. Do I need to be on the cover? And I went back and forth, and it was like an alignment because um Dr. Mary was my forward author for the book,
Mhm.
and she also was my strategic partner or advisor at the time. And so she actually had given me a graphic with a woman in front of it, like in red. I remember it, right? Red being a
Okay.
powerful color. And it wasn't people, it was just, images of people. And so I was talking to my husband one night, and he said, Jen, you should put yourself on the book cover. And I was like, why? He said, the world needs to see you as your authentic self.
How about that?
And he's like, you're a beautiful Black woman with natural curly hair. And he was like, you're curvy. The world needs to see it. So they know that they can aspire to, embrace who they are authentically.
So this is where we're gonna take a moment
Yeah.
and we're gonna give a kudos to hubby, okay? So we're gonna give a little kudos to hubby all day long because it's not often that you have a partner in life, a husband, a spouse, that's what I'm talking about right there. It's not often that you have a partner in life that recognizes and not only recognizes but pushes you past that moment where you're like, no, I don't think so. And then the reasoning that he shared with you for why you should do it was amazing. Because he's right. It reminds people that regardless of all the stereotypes or whatever you're used to seeing, that yes, you too can be and attached to leadership. I think he was just spot on. And I think it was an awesome decision. And I'm gonna show y'all again because I mean it's just the cover is just everything. It's just everything. I mean the color scheme, the picture, and then if you all can't see, I know it's a little smaller, but it's Step into Leadership Greatness, leaders producing leaders. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about that before we talk about an event that you have coming up. But when you decided on the subtitle being Leaders Producing Leaders, why did you decide? Because a lot of people talk about leadership on a whole.
Yeah.
But to talk about leaders producing leaders is a different conversation because most people, think about leaders and think they don't need nobody. Like everybody with a leader is below them. So tell us a little bit about that subtitle because I think that's powerful.
Yeah. And I'm going to give you the origin of it. It's funny that you say that because I wrote on the back of the envelope different subtitles. I knew my intent, but I wrote in the back and I was like, none of them seemed to hit the mark the way that I wanted to. So I had discussed it with Dr. Mary and I was like, hey, here's what my intent is.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through some of the titles, but I said, but let me go a little bit deeper. My intent is to produce other leaders.
Mm-hmm.
My intent is to ensure that they are equipped and empowered to move forward in their leadership journey. When leaders make it to that leadership level, right, and which is still always a growth mindset position because you've never like totally made it because you always got to
Right.
work on yourself. But while they're climbing, that they're reaching back and bringing somebody with them.
Mm.
And so she came out with Leaders Producing Leaders.
Wow.
And then I was like, bam, that's it. That's it right there. That's it. That's it. And you know what's so ironic about this with her Trust the Process book is like I did the reverse for her. Like she
And
had,
that's a collaboration in you, right?
yeah. So it was that was the collaboration in me. Is like you have these thoughts as the visionary, but I just needed to hone it in. I had to hone it. And so that's how we got Leaders Producing Leaders. And then that helped me to think about, well, who do I, because I was very intentional, you know that. I
Yes,
was
you
very
were.
intentional about who was in the book. And I did a lot of shoulder tapping to personally ask people to be in the book. And I chose different generations
Mm-hmm.
and I chose different fields, industries, for a reason. And I also asked my daughter to be in the book as well.
Yes.
And so I had asked both of them, but one of them had some other demands on them. So they didn't, she felt like she could not commit all the way through. But my youngest daughter, Jayla, she shared her perspective from a diverse inclusion belonging. And I was like, hey, this book is going to be about you can lead no matter where you are, whether
Absolutely.
you are from, leading from the back, the side, or the front. And you and I talked about that in the first chapter is how you did that.
I look, and the title, so I like that you told that backstory because the Leaders Producing Leaders was really a strong drawing for me. I already like the lead stepping into leadership greatness. That had me. But Leaders Producing Leaders to me was such a powerful statement because a lot of times we don't see it that way. We don't see leaders producing leaders. We see leaders leading, other people, and but never suggesting that the leader is producing another one, because then you have that competition of it all that people think of, and none of the subtitle itself just kind of knocks that right out the box. Like there's no competition with this, and you recognizing in this book that there's more than one way to show up in leadership roles. And I think people do make the mistake of thinking one way about leadership, when in fact there's many ways that you can show up in leadership roles. So it kind of got rid of those thoughts that, oh no, the leaders, I said a lot of times we're assuming people are leaders because that's just how they show up, and they might not even be a leader. They might in this
It's called
project.
leadership presence. It's the
Absolutely.
leadership presence. They used to call it executive presence, whatever you want to call it. But it's embracing who you are. So you're going back to that self-awareness
Yep.
and how you show up in confidence no matter what room you're in. Like you said, you see some people, they might not ever say a word, and you look at them, they're like, wow, they're powerful.
Right. And there's your leader. It doesn't matter. You can have 6 people up at the podium, but your leader could be sitting in the first row watching. You just don't know. And I wanted to lead into because this book this is a second volume. So tell them how many volumes you have.
I have two. It may feel like many, but I have two. The first volume focused on leadership isn't just a title.
I love that.
And that's another one where no matter where you are, you can lead. And so we had stories, paternal stories, from Jim Kennedy, where he talked about his leadership as a dad, and it was very relatable for other parents that were out there. And so because people, they think like when I came and approached you for volume 2, you were like, I didn't see myself as a leader. I said, why not? Let's talk about that. Why not? You
Right.
are a leader. You've taken charge of so many things. Whether it's a program, whether it's a project, it's how you view your skill sets and experiences and how you apply those to make life easier and better for others. So I hope people unlock that.
Absolutely. Look, it was an eye opener because you're right. I didn't identify myself that way. So, I was honored, but I was just kind of like, me? And I see all the things that you're doing out there, Dr. Jennifer. So I'm thinking, wait a minute, Dr. Jennifer's out here doing the dang on thing, but I never picked. And so you wear leadership without saying anything. You don't have to say that to someone. Someone knows when they watch you do what you do. So when you brought that to me, that was what I was thinking of. Like, I don't know that people see me, that way. So I did question it. But I was up for the task, but I really did think, I didn't think about myself that way. So I am going to show everybody the back of the book. These are some of the authors that are in a volume 2, but like she said, there's a volume 1. So what I wanted to lead into is that it didn't stop here. So she did volume 1. She did volume 2. The book has been amazing. Dr. Jennifer has placed this book in the hands of so many people. She's done some amazing things with these book projects, but she ain't done that because she's a leader. We talking leadership right now. So y'all
Leader
know
has a vision, right?
Right. We talk about leadership. Yeah, we ain't never done. Okay. We never done.
We are never done. And here's the thing, like sometimes I'm like, oh, God, you did not give me this assignment. Because I know the work that comes with it, right? And so I did not want to do a volume 3 yet.
Okay.
Right. I was like, I gotta give life to the Step into Leadership Greatness brand. I got to give life to it, right? Like, so we've had people on billboards, right? You remember that from volume 1. We've had so many different media outlets, and the book has landed, like you said, in so many places, and schools, universities. It has landed so many. WMATA, Washington Metropolitan Transit Authority. I mean, you name it.
But wait a minute.
Colleges.
Don't forget, Dr. Jennifer. So this book actually reached
France.
Bestseller. We talk about France too, but all of the bestseller.
Yeah, three
international
categories.
Wasn't it international bestseller?
Yes, it went international bestseller.
There are 3 categories that this book falls into: bestseller, international bestseller, and there's actually another one as well. But what else? What other countries? Like, it's gone as far as France, India, Africa. I'm sure I'm missing some. There's few others, and it's still out there. People, it has gone into Fortune 100 companies, Fortune 500 companies. People have said, "Hey, I want this as part of our reading club, book club." I've taught chapters from it, leadership lessons. I've even, which I'm going to restart after the summit, I've even started, I had group leadership circles. Okay.
And I use that platform for leaders to learn from other leaders, just like we were talking before the show, to share some of the experiences they're going through, and to lean on each other as thought partners to come up with solutions of, hey, I've had that situation. Here are some of the things I did, and these are the things that worked. And so even with both volumes of the book, I made sure I talked about my failures.
Okay.
Because a lot of times people see people wins. Like you said, you see me on social media, you see me doing this, you see me doing that. And what I find to be most relatable is being able to share my failures.
Yes.
Share this is what I did wrong.
I agree.
didn't get a job. And I bombed the leader out and wrote an email behind it, right? So that's when you allow your emotions to get the best of you, right? And so you go into a reactionary mode as opposed to a responding mode. And so I just want to give people those lessons. So I cannot wait for December 9th for the summit.
I can't wait either. So that's what I was actually leading you into, because she teased you a little bit by mentioning it, but I was like, oh, she's going to have to circle back around, because this has led to what?
The leadership summit, Step into Leadership Greatness Summit. And so
we have the flyer. I think we're going to show the flyer, and Dr. Jennifer, as you tell us about what this is, what's going down on December 9th. Tell us
Oh,
about this.
yes, yes. All of my beautiful authors and forward author. We are going to be in the room in Upper Marlboro. Also have Charlene Day, my sister for Sister Network Inc. Sister. And so she's going to moderate, and we're going to talk about mindset, growth
Okay.
mindset. We're going to talk about harvesting great leaders. We're going to talk about IT, the IT world, right? And
Wow.
women in IT. We're also going to talk about data, the importance of data in leadership. But what's so cool about this summit is that it's going to reach aspiring leaders, those who may not think they're a leader, who wants to be a leader. They need to be in the room.
Absolutely.
Those experienced leaders, you need to be in the room, because each we're going to have about 4 panels. I think I'm going off the top of my head, about 4 panels, and each of the panels are going to have some tough questions to answer, and along with those answers are going to come the practical tips, the practical applications, the strategies, where the attendees can walk out of that room
Wow.
and apply what they learn. And so just this week, and I'm going to get information out, we are adding a networking hour at the beginning.
Oh, wow.
Yes, from 12 to 1. We're going to invite folks to come in to meet the speakers. We're going to have our sponsors and other business owners come in to meet one another. And then the summit kicks off at 1. It's from 1 to 4. We're going to be in and we're going to be out. And what's cool about it is that we're going to have a little bit of nibbles. Like, we're going to have some food.
Okay.
We're gonna have a little
Okay.
food. I don't know how many summers you went to and had like food. So we're gonna have, like, we're gonna have Beverly Lucas, who's gonna be there, who's going to share her delicious food.
Okay.
She was nominated by a celebrity during the summer. They were doing the voting pieces. So you probably saw an earlier video during the summer where I went over to taste her food. It's delicious. And then we're also going to have 3 vendors there.
Okay.
We're going to have JD, JD, with his jewelry. He said he's working
Yes.
on something special for my summit. And then we're going to have Selena Ayers, that's going to be there. She comes with purses, jewelry, you name it. And then
Okay.
you're going to have me, truly, reaching within empowerment journey, who will be there with my books, Step into
Okay.
Leadership Greatness books, along with some other things. So I'm super, super excited about it.
I am too. Yeah, we're getting our attire and all ready. I think I shared with you. I already know what I plan to rock, but I am so excited because I like to see, and this is what I mean about when I've talked about prior about books coming to life. That it's more than just writing a book, especially when you are serious about the message of the book. And because I know that everybody's writing books in their different areas of writing, but when it comes to leadership, which I think is definitely a good time in the world that we live in now to kind of get some focus on what productive leadership looks like. This is it. And I think the summit is just an extension of those resources and tools. And I know if Dr. Jennifer is putting anything together, let's just say that she has thought of everything.
No, I
So
haven't.
yes, look, she
I
can tell
sure
you
I
that.
missed something.
Look, she can tell you that, but I promise you, if you are at that summit, just as if you bought this book, then you already know that she has put some real thought into what she's doing. She's just not throwing things together. There's a mission to what's happening. So the summit, I want you to let everybody know where they can be a part of the summit, where they can, if there are tickets available, where it's going to be. Can you tell them all of that?
Sure, it's on Eventbrite. They could just type in "Step into Leadership Greatness," it'll pop up. And then after your show, I'll put the bit.ly link there for
Okay.
people to go there and purchase directly. We also still have sponsorship available. It starts as low as $100 to sponsor,
Okay.
and you get 2 tickets with that, along with the books. So it seems like a great deal if you ask me. And I will
Absolutely.
tell you, when I started this journey of pulling together this summit, uh, a representative from Northwestern Mutual
Mhm.
said, "I believe in your vision. I see how you rock and roll on social media. You don't have to tell me anymore. I'm sold." And wrote a check,
Wow.
in the form of electronic. But he was like, "I'm going to set Zelle you this weekend," and he did it. He said,
Wow.
"I believe in your vision."
That's
And
powerful.
so that was powerful. And I actually physically walked in Bowie. I went to Bowie and walked to different stores like Target and Walmart and Staples. And 2 out of 3, I got one. I got a no because I wasn't a nonprofit. Because people gonna say no, but I was like, I don't care. I'm gonna keep asking,
I
right?
know that's
I'm gonna
right.
keep asking, and I'm pretty tenacious that way. That's an adjective. People say she's pretty tenacious. So Staples, um, they said what they said. Target, I didn't hear back from them. Walmart, talking about building a relationship, and I talked directly to the community guy, and he invited me to something. And guess what? I showed up. I showed up at the
Wow.
event, and then afterwards he said, "Don't forget to remind me to come back, for you to come back and pick up your stuff." And I was like, "Really?" He said, "Yes." So I told him I was going to be in the area last week, and he went to the shelf and got the different things like notepads and pens and stuff like that. And he was like, "Here, you can have it."
Oh my good. Well, you know what? And I'm glad that you shared that because I think people get it twisted. Like it's just like this. And
No, it's
you're
not.
you're proof that you gotta put in the legwork. And you can't be worried about that. No, I love that you said that's not gonna stop me. I'm gonna keep on pushing through. But that's what leadership is all about. And people think that, you don't realize what people have gone through to even get that title, whether they were looking for it or not. It's how leadership shows up. That it's determination. It's working through fear. It's receiving those no's. That's why it's so important when we're children to learn about the word no, because you got to be able to receive a no to get to the yeses. If you can't handle the no, then you won't get there. Because I can.
Absolutely. It's the that leader having the vision and the optimism that it's going to work out. If this one said no, if 9 said no, maybe one will say yes.
Right.
And I picked up the phone, called so many people, "Hey, this is what's happening, blah,
I
blah,
love
blah."
it.
And then you saw the surprise last Friday. I'm not going to announce it, but I had to use a little tenaciousness in that regard. And
Yes.
so there are
Dr.
times.
Jennifer is putting in some work, y'all. She is working. She come up with surprises. It seems like every week there's some new news, and I'm like, oh my goodness, is she sleeping?
That's always the question. Look, ask my husband. Trust me, I am sleeping.
He said she better get some sleep. That's right, because this ain't all there is. She got other stuff to do. I love it. I
She
love
has
it. I
other
love it.
stuff to do. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it, Dr. Jennifer. I'm just so excited for you. I know anything that you're working on is going to be absolute fire. And I know that, look, we got talking into leadership so much that I'm going to use a few moments before we go into a TikTok moment. But at the end of the show, we're going to tie this into the power shut up.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So I wanted to ask you, and I usually try to ask the guests a little bit about maybe a situation, because what and I think you kind of alluded to it earlier. I like for during the power shut up, I really want people to walk away from each episode having learned something or realized something or something enlighten them that wasn't before they got here. That's just my whole mission. If you can walk away from this show and realize something that was useful that you can take with you and use going forward, then it served its purpose. So I wanted to see if there was something that you have experienced in your line of work where the power of shut up, or, and that's, speaking on something or not speaking something, where if you could have done it differently based on what you know now, what would that have been? And this is to help people who have maybe experienced something. We talked about something earlier. We make mistakes. We don't get it right all the time. I constantly tell people with the power of shut up, there's no way that you'll ever master it. I have to go back to my book every now and then and remind myself, you didn't do that right. You knew better. So tell us about something where maybe you experienced something that was very challenging, and had you thought about it just a little bit longer, you might have done something different.
It's interesting. I'm gonna go back to that example and fill in a little more details about the job I did not get. I was acting in a role, and I for a year, probably was a little over a year, and I was working very long hours, like 10, 12 hours, made a lot of sacrifices, family sacrifice. I mean, it was just a lot. And I learned, my leader called me in. She was the top of the organization, and she shared with me that they had selected someone else for the job,
Mm.
and that I would no longer be in that role. And I was like, what? Like, why? And
Right.
so she gave me a couple of reasons, which I didn't feel like they were valid because I didn't hear her. Because guess what? There are times when the power of shut up needs to reign, because when you start feeling those emotions like deep down, and you feel it I don't know where you may feel it, in your stomach, your face, your ears. Like my ears would get real hot,
Yep.
and I'm sure they are red, and I should have just got quiet at that point. But no, I shared my initial thoughts with her, head of the organization.
Guilty as charged. Yes.
And I remember running out of her office in tears and not even thinking about my staff seeing that reaction. And then I collected my stuff and I went home because I was mad. I went home and I was just like mad, mad, mad all the way home, driving 45 minutes home, just fussing the whole way. And I ain't had to, Lisa, I ain't even leave it just like that, right? I wait till I look, got home, got on the computer, still seething, right? Fired
Oh,
off this
goodness.
long email about my life, trauma, and this is just one more thing, and how I sacrificed myself, and blah, 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 right? And I actually pressed in on that sucker. I pressed in. So I was like, I'm fired, right? I'm so fired. And so it did it didn't end well. I will say that. For me, it was a huge lesson.
Mm-hmm.
So what added fuel to the fire was that the person who they selected decided they didn't want to come. So they called me late one night, probably around 8ish. I remember this very clear, and asked me to tell me that news and asked me to step back into the role. What was I supposed to do? As acting. That's the other piece, as acting. So stepping back into the role as acting.
Mm-hmm.
So that still signaled to me, y'all still not gonna hire me permanently.
Right.
So how am I supposed to respond to this?
We still not choosing you, but let's hold. Can you hold the spot for the
Yes.
next person? Yep.
Talking about hurt feelings, not feeling value, rejection. I can list disappointment. I can list so many things. And I just said, okay. Because I was too done at that point. I was like numb.
Right.
And I did it. And then eventually, what happened was it was a guy, an advisor that I was working closely with. They chose to put him as the head.
Mm.
And I was placed back into my position of record, which was deputy. And so I said, he said, I don't know anything about this job. He said, I don't know. He said, I'm going to need you.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, oh, Jen, humble yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So what I said to him was, while you're learning from me, I'm going to learn leadership from you.
Okay. How about
And
that?
and so we balanced each other really well. I loved the way that he did certain things. He loved the way I did certain things, and we had an amazing relationship and partnership. And the head of the organization retired.
Mm-hmm.
Before she left, she and I made it well. And she said to me, she said, I know you and I weren't always on the best terms. She said, you will do well and you will succeed.
Mm.
And I apologize for, anything that offended you. And I said, I apologize to you.
Mm-hmm.
So when her successor came in, you know how everybody debriefs the new person. So when it got to me, when we did our meet and greet and I introduced myself and everything, and I looked him in his eyes and I said, I know you've heard about me. And I'm not going to say anything about that. The power of shut up. What I said to him was, I want you to observe me.
Mm.
I want you to see that I'm in service for others and to others. And I want you to watch my leadership and I want you to watch my team who is filled with superstars. And that's all I said. I said I'm going to serve you to the best of my ability.
I like
And
that.
so the good news behind the power of shut up is that another year went by. It probably wasn't a whole year. It was like 6 months went by. And the head of the organization met with me and he says, I'm going to put the advisor guy, that's the director, back into the advisor role. And I'm going to promote you to the director without competition.
Wow.
So but see, this is the thing. It took me, like a year or something to recover
Mm-hmm.
from making the wrong decision and not shutting my mouth.
Mm.
And so I learned the power of shut up, right? Then, like, you don't have to react to everything. Everything does not require a response or reaction. You sit quietly and you just observe and you watch. I've had so many blessings come my way. And some people may say, well, they did this to you and they did that to you. And I'm like, it's okay.
That's right. That's
God
right.
got me. He has proven it to me over and over again. And I've, and has given me so many blessings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, I'm not going to let that person take me out. And so
Right.
when people see me today, they will say to me, they'll say, oh, she's so poised, she's so graceful. And I'm like, y'all just don't know my story.
Right.
Y'all don't know my story. Look, I had to use power and shut up so many times. But here's the other piece. I've learned how to channel my disappointment
Mm-hmm.
differently now.
I love that. I love
So that's where the I comes in from my desk as an influencer, is that I can share my disappointment in a way where the receiver can hear it.
Yes. Yes. That was such an on-time example of using the power shut up on the job, in the experience where you're having to, hone that in. Because I can't even explain to y'all right now how on time that is. But any good thing, and I wanted to say shout out to everybody who's tuning in. I see you, Michelle and Chantel. Thank you so much. Because Chantel said I need to learn that. And it's an ongoing thing. Like when you talked about that, one of the things that I like to express about the power shut up is it's almost a good thing that you don't get to master it, because every time I'm in a situation and I respond or don't respond, I have another moment to grow from that experience. Do I get it right all the time? I do not. But I also want to offer that there are those moments where you respond, you react to it. I absolutely understand being in the position you were in. I can relate to it, and it's hurt, it's anger, it's all kinds of things that are boiling up all in one. And it takes a lot to train yourself to keep that composed. And one of the things that I struggle with, because inward, I would actually, I could make myself sick from getting so stressed about something. And a lot of times I don't have any control over this. And a lot of times I think what happens is we respond that way because we take it as an offense to us personally, like almost like we internalize it. And it takes a minute for you to realize, which I know I have to smack myself on the hand because I have not always done this well, even currently speaking. But you have to remind yourself that it doesn't always mean you did anything wrong. It doesn't always mean that you deserved what happened to you. It was a human reaction sometimes, but to be able to flip that because you were able to acknowledge it and say, okay, this is where I need to do better. So going forward, when you introduced yourself, it was like, okay, we don't need all of that. I'm going to show you. Somebody else didn't quite value it the same way. Their loss. But here we go again. And I'm going to let you know, this is what I'm about, despite anything you may have heard. So I love that. The example was actually perfect. I can't even tell y'all how perfect that example was. It was just, it was on time. But it's something that people can take away. That just know that you're not considered to be perfect. And just take that moment. I think what you shared was just take a moment. But when we're in the heat of things, so I ask people, just breathe a little bit. As I have experienced the ride home when I said, I know they think this is over, but this ain't over. And I'm logging in after hours. You logging in like, oh, no, this is not what we're going to do. I get it. So I just encourage people to use this as an example and then look how things turn out, because I keep saying this, the power shut up has blessed me in so many ways. And I know there are people, when I say the power shut up, but just be quiet, they're looking at me like, why would I do that? And I get it, because I wouldn't have believed it myself. But there is a piece on the other side of understanding that it's not that no one will understand or hear your heart or hear your hurt. Things will work itself out.
It will.
It will work itself out.
It will. And the power shut up is it's about professional maturity too. It's about maturity, right? And so it doesn't mean that you are a pushover either, right? Like I said earlier, there's a way that you can eloquently share your thoughts and make it more logical. Remember I said, deal with your emotions. Like you said, take a time out, breathe, give yourself 24 hours to think on it, and go back to what is true.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to the facts. Okay, what is true? And then when you start logically applying things, then you say, oh, okay, let me not take this so personally and let me stick to the facts at hand.
That's yeah. I'm smacking myself on the hand right now because I haven't always done that perfectly, even of late. But
you give yourself grace.
And you do. It took me a minute. It's funny that you say 24 hours because I literally had to speak to someone and say, just give me, sometimes I added another day, give me 24, 48 hours.
Yes.
I know that this is true. Just give me a minute, because sometimes it's just too soon. Give me a moment. But I love what you've shared. That was a perfect example. So Dr. Jennifer, before we go into our TikTok moment and say goodbye to everyone, I wanted you to share with people how they can get in touch with you, get your book, and get a ticket to the summit.
Look, there's so many ways that they can get in contact with me through social media. You can find me as Dr. Jennifer Bryant on Instagram, Reaching Within. There are so many ways to get your tickets. You can get it on Eventbrite. You can type in Step into Leadership Greatness. I'm going to put it in the comment section, the bit.ly link. Here's the other cool part. You can go to my website, reachingwithinempowerment.com. And you can go to the events section and it's right there. You can go ahead and purchase a ticket from there. So there is so many ways. Or you could just reach out to me in Messenger, say, hey, I want a ticket, and I'll send you the link. If you want to be a sponsor, like I said, sponsorship, the levels start as low as $100. And so let me tell you, there's power if you're using social media correctly too, because I've had people who hopped in my box and said, look, I want to put some things in your in your swag bags. I want to
Yes.
make some things to put. And I was like, what? Like my heart is being touched. And then, oh, let me say this, the speakers, they are really going all out. Like Dr. Teresa is just like such a sweetheart. She's
Yes.
like, look,
She is.
let me, I'm gonna be sending you bookmarks over there. I'm gonna be
Love
sending you
her.
books over there.
Love
Like
her.
I love her. Then I had another speaker who contacted me early this morning. She's like, hey, I want to put jewelry in the bags. I said, what?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Who sees swag bags with jewelry?
Right.
Then you had Dr. Barry Huntley's like, hey, on behalf of Trinity, we want to do 5 tickets, so people are getting into this. And I am so appreciative. I mean, I just feel tremendously blessed. And so God reminded me, remember what I told you, what he said to me some months ago. I was like, not this, no, I'm not, I don't have the time to be doing all of this. And it's so funny because now that we're here at this appointed time and place, he's like, see, I'm telling you, it's coming
That's
together.
right.
It's coming
That's
together.
right.
So
Just
I feel
follow
tremendously
your
blessed.
assignment and the people will come.
Exactly.
And you will not be disappointed. So
Daryl reminded me of that tonight. I don't know if you know Daryl Spears. I talked to him a little bit today. He used to do my podcast, and we go to the same church. And he reminded me. He said, "Jen is gonna all come together." He said, "Jennifer's gonna all come together. It's gonna all come together." And then us, we wait to the last minute to purchase. But we don't. I mean, I think we have probably about 20-something tickets left to purchase.
Wow. Yeah, I it was no doubt in my mind this is going to be absolutely amazing. I cannot wait. For those who haven't gotten your tickets yet, you need to hurry. As she said, it's only 20 some left. You need to hurry and get your ticket. It will be an amazing evening. You will meet some dynamic people that will follow you through your journey to find leadership or show leadership or whatever it is. So please make sure you reach out to Dr. Jennifer and
then we're gonna have, before I forget, Lisa, we're gonna have Michelle. We're gonna have Michelle there calming us down. She's gonna start us off with calming us down. Like
I know that's right. I can't wait.
We're gonna have that sound bowl.
I love it. I love it. She has some. Dr. Jennifer is connected to some amazing people. So you all really need to reach out to her. And she will help you in areas where you're trying to reach that next step, that next level. She is the person to talk to. So without further ado, I'm going to actually lead us into a TikTok moment, and then we're going to come back and say goodbye. And what I do is, hello, Davita, she's checked in as well, but I like to share a TikTok moment at the end of the show to lead you into the weekend and get you prepared to do this all over again next week. So let's take a TikTok moment.
Love it.
What you're capable of, I handle you a little bit different. It's not that I don't forgive you, but I watch you.
So I thought I'd keep it short and sweet. And that's all about learning and growing, and that way you do better next time around. So, and then allow yourself, as Dr. Jennifer, you said, allow yourself grace. We're not gonna always get it right. We are human. Just know where you could do better from what you did. And as long as you're moving forward, it's going to be all good. So I thank you so much for joining me on the Power Shut Up podcast. You are always welcome here. I look forward to seeing you and all the other wonderful ladies and gentlemen on December 9th, because I will be in the house. I can't wait.
You'll be stepping.
I'll be stepping into leadership greatness and everything else. And you all get your books. You go out there on Amazon. The book is available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and several other online outlets and stores. So please check out Step into Leadership Greatness. And we will see you next week. We'll be winding the Power Shut Up down for the holidays, but we have a show, maybe 2, left for the end of the year. And then we'll be back in January. But next week we have Sean Mason Lasore joining us. She's going to talk about marketing. She's going to talk about homeschooling. Quite a few things that we rarely hear and talk about, but it's going to be a good time. Thank you, Dr. Jennifer.
You're so
Thank
welcome.
you for saying yes. And we will see you all next week.
All right. Sounds good.